Hey everybody, Tim here with the season 1 finale, potentially the series finale of the Watchmen season 1 episode 9, See How They Fly, which the title is a reference to I Am the Walrus, the Beatles song, and which during the closing credits they actually have a cover of that. And I've said before, if no other reason for this whole season, the music is great. All of the covers, all of the music, it's so great. There was actually a part, I think I even said it in the review, where I got distracted by the music and I had to rewind it and to see what was going on between the characters because I didn't even know. And then I had to rewind it a second time and my husband's like, stop singing the song. And I was like, I'm sorry, it's great. So anyways, a good season finale. I'm going to call it a season finale. In fact, I'm just going to jump kind of to the end. The showrunner who made this season had a story to tell, and he told his story, and he's done. He said that he wasn't going to do a season 2. So they've kind of gone back and forth, nobody really knows yet. In fact, if there is a statement out there, I could be completely wrong, but I haven't seen anything. HBO hasn't said oh, we're definitely doing a season 2. And if they do, is it going to be a continuation of this storyline, or is it going to be kind of a side story? Which would be great as well, because we could do a different character from the Minutemen. It doesn't even necessarily have to be 2020 at that point. Or, we see Lori, we see John, we see Adrian. We never see Dan in any of this. So maybe what happened to Dan? So something like that. But for the rest of the video, I am just going to say the season 1 finale, even though, I don't know, who knows if there's going to be another one. Overall, it's really good. It does kind of do some cliches that I don't like. And I'll kind of hit them as I go down. But I kind of mentioned this in other TV shows. I think I just mentioned it in Discovery. A big pet peeve of mine, I love foreshadow. I think foreshadow is amazing. And this series even does foreshadow really well. And it's kind of like the original comic of the Watchmen, where foreshadow is really important. Where throughout the entire comic, you just see this homeless guy with the end is nigh. And then it's not until the end that you realize that this homeless guy has actually been Rorschach the whole time. Stuff like that is brilliant, and I absolutely love it. That's the stuff that you want to go back and rewatch it and be like, oh, what did I miss? Now, when stuff like that falls apart is when you put a flashback in your episode to do the twist in the same episode. Because at that point, it's not a twist. You're already expecting it. Granted, these are 40-minute episodes, but when you're doing season arcs and stuff like that, when it's been 6 episodes and you're like, I remember that, and that's a twist, and that's good. When you're here's how I want to start my episode, I should not be able to go oh, that's what it's gonna be. Stuff like that irritates me. Same with changing a flashback to kind of make it fit your needs. Again, I don't like it, but they do it in this episode. So to kind of start from the beginning, work my way down like usual, the whole opening scene where you see Adrian doing his spiel to President Redford, which I was really disappointed that Robert Redford was never in this series, as a cameo or anything. The whole time he's doing that, we see this woman go into his office and impregnate herself. How she gets the passwords, anything like that, who knows? We could have been seeing flashbacks of her throughout the whole season and how smart she is and stuff like that. Totally down for it. But as soon as she impregnates herself, I was like, Lady True is Adrian's daughter. Got it. Now, there could have been hints throughout the season, but actually seeing her impregnate herself was too much. I didn't like it in this episode. Going back to 2008, when Lady True actually meets Adrian for the first time, I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting. I get it. And then, of course, oh, I'm your daughter, sample 2346. And I think it was kind of interesting, he actually goes out of his way to say, oh, I don't, enjoy the company of women. I'm like Alexander the Great, and I'm too focused on what I'm doing, on the battle, rather than being oh, Alexander the Great was gay, so am I, let's get out of here. Stuff like that. Because, that goes back to the comic and the movie and stuff like that was Adrian gay or not. So, stuff like that. I don't like using flashback as a twist in the same episode. Stuff like that bothers me. The scene where he catches the bullet was really great. Reference to the originals, stuff like that, where Laurie tries to shoot him. Changing the flashback again. Like, we saw him write "Save Me" on the moon. It was great. I get it. That's all I needed. Now we realize that he actually wrote "Save Me, Daughter." Why? Like, I get it. It fits in this whole thing, and they have their, like, you finally called me daughter, and you broke down. It wasn't needed. Like, I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I get, like, maybe if they had shown that first time where he wrote, like, "Save Me, Daughter" or something like that, then we would have been like, what? He has a daughter? And then it kind of would have been some more foreshadow. But to just, like, reveal, oh, we only showed you half the truth in one episode, but now we'll show you the whole truth, it's just deceiving. Like, to me, I'm sorry, but it's kind of lazy. I didn't like it. The golden statue was great, where they're like, please place your hands on your hips. And he does, and then they spray paint him gold. The only thing that I would have changed in that would have actually been, like, showing him arrive, and then having Lady True, like, do a flashback to the scene where Laurie comes in, and she's like, why do you paint him old? Or why does he look so old? Like, have a quick flashback to that, and be like, oh, that was actually him. That's why it looks so old. Something like that would have been great. Because I don't know how many people missed that could have actually been the real Adrian. So something like that. Looking Glass undercover as the Rorschach was great. Again, like, as soon as he came up, he didn't even say anything. I was like, oh my God, that's Looking Glass. And my husband, who hasn't watched this whole season, but watched this episode with me, he's like, who's Looking Glass? And then that's when Laurie's like, Mirror Guy? And I was like, that's great. Seeing Dr. Manhattan captured, again, like, I'm saying it as it's happening. That's great, and I really enjoyed that as I'm piecing together as it's happening. It's really entertaining. Laurie and Adrian, like, actually seeing each other was kind of entertaining and interesting, where they're just like, oh, things must be worse than I thought since we're back together. Senator Keene melting was okay, I guess, where she just opens the door and is like, psh. I was like, I guess that's entertaining, whatever. I like the underwear more than anything, like, because it's clearly Dr. Manhattan's underwear. Killing the Cyclops was predictable, but even, like, the Jed's wife is like, you're gonna kill us all, and she's like, yep, beep, and then sure enough, they're all dead. So something like that was okay. I get it, I guess. When he, like, touches the blood and sends Adrian, Laurie, and Looking Glass away, I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And even Adrian's line of, like, I'm going to save the day. I was like, okay, like, I didn't see that one. So that was actually pretty good. Like, I get it. The whole freezing the squid thing was a bit much. Like, it was entertaining and it was interesting, and I didn't foresee it coming. But it was interesting to see, like, Adrian's been using this random teleporter all these years to kind of keep people scared and in check. And I like Lady True's, like, it's been like 30 years. Like, why are you doing this? So something like that, I was like, okay. And then when, like, the first frozen squid goes through her hand, I was like, wow, like, okay. Which, I don't know, like, I mean, it just turned the squid into hail, so I don't know necessarily the atmosphere, or the speed, the trajectory, anything like that, but I mean, like, if a piece of hail hits you, it wouldn't necessarily go straight through your hand, so the whole thing about, like, it was just pummeling people and killing them was a bit much. Like, it was okay. Like, I kind of get the reference to, like, the earlier thing where Laurie's telling the joke about a brick killing God from the sky and stuff like that. But still, it was a bit much. And plus, like, my husband, again, never seen this. They, like, run into the theater and everything, and my husband's like, wait, so if the frozen squid can knock a giant metal circle ball thing in the sky, just boom, knocks it right out, dents it and everything, you're going to tell me it's not going to tear down a building? Like, so, it was a little rough in those parts. Seeing Archie at the end was great, which I'd already commented, because we saw Archie earlier, and they even kind of do a throwback, like, I understand FBI is using Archie's design, but they do mention Dan. Not what happened to him, but they do mention him, so I thought that was great. Arresting Adrian, okay, that's kind of entertaining. we'll never see anything. I mean, if they do a season 2, maybe we'll see something, but we don't know what's going to happen. And then finally, the last scene, super predictable, but in the best way possible. Like, that's not a negative thing. Like, as soon as they start doing it, I already knew the ending, where we see the foreshadow of the eggs, and she swallows it, which swallowing a raw egg is not that bad. Like, I don't know. I watched Rocky too many times, so, like, whole cracking an egg into a cup and drinking it, no flavor. It's easy. And I was like, oh, the foot's going to touch, and credits. Sure enough, and it's great. And I think that's the perfect ending. Like, I think it was great, because you know what? Nothing ever ends. Great Watchmen shout out right there. So if they do a season 2, I don't necessarily need to see Angela. I don't need to know what happened. Like, did Dr. Manhattan actually die? Because, I mean, he's always said, like, I'm not a god. But, like, is it even possible that they were able to kill him? Or is he actually just kind of hiding somewhere? Did Angela get his powers and then she can just recreate him? There's a lot of different things you could do. I don't necessarily need that story. If they do a season 2, I'm totally down for a completely different story on different characters. We'll have to wait and see. I feel like even if they do a season 2, at this point, it's not going to be until like 21, maybe 2022. It's going to be a while because they're going to have to like write it, produce it, act it, everything. So it's going to be a while, presuming that they haven't done anything yet. So I don't know. Overall, the whole season, I was cautiously optimistic. And to be honest, the trailers didn't do anything for me. But I was super cautiously optimistic from the start. And I was like, I don't know. I really like The Watchmen, so I don't know. This could go either way. Pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. Might be the best show that I watched for 2019. Not sure yet. It's still going. But overall, really liked it. For those who have seen it, what did you guys think? What do you guys think about the ending? What do you think about the overall season? What do you think about the future? Thank you guys for everything. Hopefully I'll see you again for season 2. Otherwise, just remember, nothing ever ends.